All right, guys, I want to talk to you about the aftermath after the sacrifice was complete of Dee Dee. All right. First of all, please like, subscribe, and share. All right. We know that Cover the Police cover up talked about how it was given over to, and all the attorneys were placed against her, and how they had to work over the judge, and um, how all that went, how the medical examiner covered up, and the police were covering up, and how they waited so long to discover the body for some reason, and all those things on police corruption that made this happen. All because she made a deal. They jumped into action. Okay. Now, I also want to say this first. Ash Blonde 6, I know you're watching. You watch all of my videos now, which is we know is GYPSY Rose. This is nothing personal against you, Gypsy. This is nothing personal. Okay. I love you just like I love everybody else. Okay. And I care about what happens to you. I do. All right. This is nothing personal. You just so happened to took out your mother in a ritualistic fashion with a sacrifice in it. And because you did that, it was brought to our fucking attention. That's what I do. That's what we do. Okay. If you would have done it, it would have been in another way that you did that. I wouldn't have cared. You're just another person that killed their mother. I don't even study or look into that. I would have never said anything about you faking this pregnancy and the baby. I would have never mentioned that. That just comes with this because, well, it goes both ways. If you know that she sacrificed her mother for fame and fortune, is it a stretch for her to fake a whole pregnancy and a kid just for money, attention, or to make her to rehabilitate her persona and her image, or whatever the case is? Is it a stretch? And at the same time, if I show you that she never did have a baby because she didn't, that's all fake, then is it a stretch that maybe she sacrificed her mother for fame and fortune? Do you understand? That's the only reason I'm doing that. Otherwise, if you hadn't have done it with a sacrifice and ritual, if you wouldn't have taken your mother out like that, Gypsy, I would have never brought any of it up, and I would have given two shits. I wouldn't even have known that you faked the baby thing. I wouldn't have paid any attention to it, and we wouldn't have cared. No one would have cared. I would have thought, oh, GYPSY Rose had a baby. Okay, good. Hope she takes good care of her. Maybe she can redeem herself through. That's what I would be thinking. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't know. Okay, so it's nothing personal, Gypsy. It's just that's the deal. All right. And again, when I know you're praying like hell, oh, Wendy Adelson gets arrested. She should be soon. I'm pretty sure the grand jury there. I think they got together starting yesterday. So we'll see. But that's the only reason. It's got nothing to do with. It's nothing personal against you. I don't like what you've done. I don't like a lot of things that you've done. But I also know that you were manipulated into a lot of it. A whole lot of it. Doesn't excuse you. You still had to make the leap, but a whole lot of it. Now let's talk about what should have happened. She was supposed to take Nicholas Godejohn out. Supposed to believe in a body bag. Okay? Then it was supposed to be, well, he came down here to visit and he was supposed to be my boyfriend, and his parents knew I was here and everything, and everyone knew, and everything was fine. And we were so in love, and I don't know what happened. But he has a bad evil side. He does. His name is Victor. And all this other shit, right? And he didn't like my mama talking about him and dragging his name, and da 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 da. She was already trying to triangulate and cause friction between her mother and him, but it didn't work. Nope, didn't work. Okay, because Dee Dee bred the kid and knew that he was a good dude, and she liked him, so that didn't work. So it was supposed to be, oh, and he snapped up on my mom and killed her, and I couldn't stop him. He was too strong. And then he was going to rape me and kill me next. I just knew it. He was going to rape me next. And he was threatening me. So I had to turn on him and kill him. I'm sorry. I had to do it in self-defense. And then she would have been the little hero. Remember? All we know in the public is she's a sick little girl twisted up in a wheelchair with stuffed animals looking crazy. And she would have jumped in that wheelchair and played the same thing the next day. And it would have been this poor little victim here, look, was able to fight off this guy that was going to rape her and then possibly kill her too, because just killed her mother in front of her. And look what she's a hero, in fact. Okay? She was an adult. That house would simply have been transferred over to her name. Any and all money that went with it or needed to be done, the Brotherhood would have paid for that, because they were using the house as part of the Underground Railroad system they use for trafficking children around the Springfields. Again, I said it a million times. There are 33 states that have a Springfield city in them, and they use them, homes, businesses, other things there where they keep children at. And they moved them around, and they modeled it after the Underground Railroad system, where a group of slaves, they would hide somewhere in their home, and then someone would come. I forgot what they were called, but like what Harriet Tubman was, right? Where she would go and lead them to a place. And then certain ones might stay there still because they're going in another direction. Whoever's leading the slaves, say they came, they're going to pick up a handful of them, say, because they're going in their direction. And then they might, he or she might have 10 people with them. Maybe 4 or 5 are going to get dropped up in the spot. Maybe they're picking up 2 or 3 more, maybe not, whatever. And then they go on. And this is how it goes. It's all very orderly, it's all tracked out like a fucking bus schedule. Okay. Who's going where they need to go, who can pick them, who can take how many, and everyone's getting paid along the way. I'm sure there's people that just are getting paid a whole lot just to transfer these children around with some kind of cockamamie story if they ever get pulled over. Probably with fake documentation and all kinds of shit. I mean, I don't know. But what I do know is their position there was to simply, like hundreds of other homes in the Springfields all over. I know it's sick, guys, but they need an endless supply of children to do this. And wealthy elites do this on a regular basis. Not all of them. There's plenty of wealthy people that have nothing to do with this. But the wealthy elite people that are running the world, they are doing this. Okay? Now, so what I'm telling you is all that GYPSY and her mother were doing, and what GYPSY would do, is receive children, take care of them as they're there, coming and going. That's it. And paid very well for that. And that would have upped her. When you're doing something like that, when you're taking part and your hand is supplying the children, which is how the whole thing runs, guys, remember, this is what makes the whole thing go around. Number one, they sell the child corn and the snuff of them, right? They sell those. There's big money in that. Everything's digital now. They can make copies. It's nothing, and they make so much money. There's that behind it, right? And then there's the fact of, it's to hold over your head. They've got you on video doing this stuff. You guys understand, right? I've already gone over all that. But it's what makes the whole thing go around. If your hand is in that with supplying the children, then that's like, so GYPSY, she would have pulled this off correctly, she would have been kind of good. She would have been like a good level standing, is what I'm trying to say, because she just sacrificed her mother and her boyfriend, if it went down right, and did a torture ritual, and is going to be taking part in this with the children. Do you understand now? This is what was happening. Her mother already had it going. But Dee Dee was generous with her friends and with Dee Dee and with GYPSY and stuff, but in a way she was tight too. She didn't come from much. Tight and greedy with things. She wasn't sharing all of it. She was taking in all the, of course, GYPSY was getting stuff and money and whatever, but Dee Dee was keeping all the bulk of this money in the safe and stuff. We know there's a bunch of money in the safe. Probably way more than what we were told. Well, David Blanchard, who's got a very domineering and controlling personality. Anyone that knows anything about him knows that he's into all kinds of shit. He's despicable. So is his disgusting wife. I'll say it right to their face. He wanted in on this. He knew all the money. He wanted in on this. And this, you guys, I'm surmising this part. I'm not going to tell you I know this. You can't go with this part as a fact. I'm pretty sure that he manipulated GYPSY. I'm pretty sure he had a good deal of talking her into it and all this stuff. He set this whole thing up. Okay? Dee Dee initially had roots to the occult way back in Louisiana. Her family, I found out, does all the way back. I'm not saying they're all straight up Luciferians, devil worshippers, raping, killing people. I'm not saying that. Occult roots can mean many things. We know she dabbled in witchcraft. And a lot of people just scoff, like, look at that, like, oh, well, this is a little dabbling in witchcraft. Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of times it means a great deal. Okay. Little harmless witchcraft. That's how desensitized we've come in society. A little witchcraft's okay. That's, you know, a little witchcraft's all right. But anyway, she came to Missouri, to Springfield, Dee Dee, for the sole purpose. This was not what you think, but because Katrina came and they got to be. That may have something to do with it, but that's why they landed there, and that's why she had that house, and that's why that was that. And colored pink for everyone to find it. Okay? And as far as that, so this is what Gypsy had to offer with this house, right? You know the ramp for her fucking wheelchair? Okay, well, guess what? Of the 3 victims that were there, they're not really victims of them, but they were there staying. Of the 3 girls that we've interviewed, spoken to, that are grown up now, one of them said it was raining so hard when they arrived that she just ran in the house with the adults under an umbrella with like raincoats around them, and just ran in the house. The other 2 people said they were taken in a toy box into the house. Now, when they arrived in a van, and the whole way in the van, they were just in the van. They weren't locked in anything. Okay, they were treated well. But they just told them, okay, we're just going to go in the house from the van. It was it wasn't like they had to smush all up and they were all, couldn't breathe, or it wasn't anything bad. It was just like playing. They said, we want you to get in the toy box. And then we're going to just scoot this into the house, and then you'll get right out of the toy box. Okay? Easy. That's a little kid would think that was cool anyway. They're in the toy box and they get carried into the house up the ramp. So, I ask of you, was the ramp there for Gypsy's wheelchair, and then this is just, they put it to good use and this is a secondary deal? Or was the ramp put there for this purpose and they said she needed it for her wheelchair? Did they paint the house pink because they just liked a pretty pink house? Or is that something that they do, is paint them bright colors so they're easy to find? Did they paint the inside all different colors, orange, green, purple, blue, red, all different colors because, well, they just like that and it's cool and they just asked them to do that? Or did they do it because they wanted to make it look more inviting, like a daycare or school or something, preschool or something? Okay, that's what Gypsy had to offer. And David Blanchard wanted his hand in it. And he needed Dee Dee the fuck out of the way. So that had a lot to do with it too. Okay? Now, there's also another angle. Dan Glidewell's family is powerful there. And I'm just going to say it. Their hands are in narcotics. Okay? So, I'm not saying that they weren't going to have the kids there and some other, narcotic activity going out of that house. That may have been on the menu too. That I don't know. I have no information about that. But I do know about the Glidewell's family and that they got their hands in that. And it looks like they got their hands on some other things, but I'm not going to put them out there on that. Okay? So there you have it. That's what Gypsy had to offer. That's why they want her. A lot of people ask that, and that's a good question. Why would they want Gypsy? What's the deal? Well, now you know. That's why. She had something to offer them. Okay? And that's a big deal in this world. They need an endless supply of children. I'll see you in the next video.